marbles. From the procedure sheet, trace the 5 by 10 inch template centered on your final paper. Trace the outline of the rectangle lightly. So here's my colored paper. Here's the template. I'm going to try to center it as best I can so that I have an even margin all the way around. And it should be 1 inch margin. And I can see my square. Best thing to do from here is look at your actual final and then figure out where the circles need to go. So if I look at my final, if I go based on some of these smaller ones, I could use the circle templates and the compass. Now, obviously this big circle does not fit this larger one, but some of these may fit some of the smaller ones. But I need to get them in the correct placement inside that square. So what I can do is I can start using a ruler and measuring over where edges are. So if I look at this circle right here, I could measure up from the bottom how far up the top edge of it is here. And I'm going to see that it is 2 inches up. So if I take the ruler and mark 2 inches right to the edge here, all right, that's where the top edge of that circle is. I could also just line this up here, and I can see that that's where it is right across from there. Find out where the bottom edge of this is. Furthest most point on that is even with 1 1/4. So if I take this in here and measure out 1 1/4, that's the furthest out that is. Okay. Now you may say, well, that's a lot of work just to do this. But if I find out what size that is, and it appears that it's the same size here, all I have to do then is just line this up so that the outermost point of this lines up with that line there, and I can see that hash mark I made here. I'm going to bring it in just a little bit, and now I'm just going to trace lightly the outer edge of that, and that matches what I have here. Okay? So it's the easiest way to get the composition correct and exact, as close as I can get it. So next one I'm going to do, I'm going to figure out where the edge of this one is from the edge of the margin, and the furthermost or the furthest most edge is about 5 3/8. So I line that up. Each of these little marks is an eighth. So if I just put a little tiny mark there, that's 5 3/8. That's the furthest most point. And how high up is the top of it from here? That's 2 inches. So if I measure up 2 inches from here, that's going to be the top of that marble. And I know this is the same size as this. So if I put that there so I can still see it while I'm setting this up, furthest most point is there, and here's that little mark that I made even with the top. Here's the little mark I made even with the furthest most point, and then I'm going to draw in, although I can see that it's over a little bit. So I've got this distance here to here. I have that same distance there to there. So again, lightly draw the outer edge. Why do you think I drew this one before I drew this one? Yes, it overlaps that one. So now when I set this one up, all I can do is just use the edge of the one that I've just created, line it up, see where it is here, see how much negative space is created there, and I can just recreate that overlap. You can see that the bottom edge of the marble actually touches the edge, so now I just draw this one there, and then I have another one above it that just is overlapped and just barely comes on the edge from right about there. Okay. Now I've got accurate representation. Now I've got to do this one. If you have a big marble in there, the easiest way to figure out how big it is when you use the compass is to measure the width of it. That's 4.5 inches. So half of that is 2 1/4 inches. So that'll give me the center. If I go 2 1/4 inches in, that gives me the center of the marble. So where's the edge of the marble? Edge of the marble is at 3 1/4. Three and a quarter, just a light pencil mark. Now from that edge, I could measure in to find the center. How far down is the center? From the top here, 2 inches down. So if I go 2 inches down, this is the center of that marble, right there. All I have to do now, line up the center ring on that little light dot that I made. These measurements right here these little holes have measurements. Here's the 2-inch mark. That's 2 1/4. That's 2 1/2. So this 2 1/4 inch mark is where I need to start making my circle, and that's going to come down to there. It's going to come up and go off. I'll continue to move that across and down. Oh, look at that. I hit the edge. I'm right on. And that gives me the placement of that large marble right where it needs to be. Let me zoom out a little bit. So now all I have to do is start coloring. And then again, starting off in the procedure, start working with the highlight areas using white and the light colors based on the reflected light of the marbles. So if I was to start this marble with this marble here, I would start with this highlight area right there with the white and then the yellow, and then I would start building those other colors as I go. Any questions on that?